Hey, it's Darius, and people ask me why I do what I do, and that's a fair question. So here's the Darius Clark story. Why I do what I do and how it helps you. I knew there was a need for CPA exam tutoring because I did well in college, but then came the CPA exam and all the horror stories that I had feared turned out to be true. I signed up for a live CPA review course. I attended every lecture, but when I got home from the class, I didn't take the book out of the car. How do you think I did on the test? You're right. Darius Clark, the Kingmaker. Did I pass the CPA exam the first time? No, I didn't. You know what? The CPA exam never asked if I had attended every class at the CPA review course. They never asked that question. Here's the deal. I didn't pass the second time I took the exam either. Why? Because I maintained the same approach. Went to all the lectures, but I didn't do any of the studying on my own. So I was depressed. I twice tried to pass the exam and I failed. So I took a break, and it was a great decision. I took a year off from studying. And during that break, I realized that the CPA exam was not going to lower the bar just for me, bring it down to my level so I can pass it. That wasn't going to happen. Instead, if I wanted to pass, I was going to have to change mentally, emotionally, make some sacrifices, but that's not all. I would need to develop some discipline. For example, I'm going to have to learn something new every day because that's how many topics there are. I was going to have consistent dedication, study for months at a time, and I was going to have to manage that up and down roller coaster of emotion that is the CPA review subculture. And it took me about a year to figure all that out and decide that yes, it's important enough, it's valuable enough, it's worth it, and I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to take a serious approach this time, not a casual approach. Because a casual approach is what I took the first two times, and that got me casual results. I wanted serious results. Well, when I finally passed the CPA exam, I understood the topic so well. It was like, hey, I could teach the class. But could I? Could I teach CPA review and help candidates just like myself who weren't born to do accounting? I wanted to teach CPA review now, but I had to convince a CPA review course. It wasn't easy. I wasn't a tenured college professor or industry expert. I didn't teach CPE or work for a prestigious accounting firm. Truth is, I played in a rock and roll band on weekends and didn't even know many accountants. So how did I know or even think that I could teach CPA review? You have to believe in yourself. You have to hear that voice inside your head that guides you to greatness. I didn't fit the mold. The cookie cutter accounting professor is what the CPA review courses want to hire. Why? Because it's the accounting professor that could get up and say, I'm your teacher for intermediate accounting today, but in 2 years you could have me because I teach for Becker CPA review also. That's what the CPA review course providers want to hire. So I knew I was going to have to pay my dues because my resume certainly did not impress the CPA providers of that era. So what I did, I volunteered to be a course administrator. I would show up to the live class early. I'd help set up the room. I took attendance. I'd hand out books. It brought me closer to the live experience that I wanted. So I hung in there. I learned a lot, and I hoped to catch a break. One of the things I learned by being around the students in the class was that they were not happy with any of the current instructors that the course was using. Then came the day I was asked to teach a live CPA review course in New York, but there was a catch. The material provided to me to teach was awful. They gave me about a month to prepare, but a minute was all I needed to see that it would have been a very short career had I used what they gave me. I quickly realized that I needed to improvise. So I decided to bring in additional material, some multiple choice questions from those topics that we were going to learn to reinforce the lecture material. And as I read through the material that they provided me, I began to understand why the students used to complain to me about the instructors. Because when it comes to CPA candidates, there's no such thing as bad student, only bad teacher. It was a little risky to bring in extra material, right? The director may not have liked it, but it was the right choice. I basically just taught the questions, and the candidates loved it. The students in the room gave me great feedback because, of course, the CPA provider called them after the class and said, hey, you didn't really like that new guy, did you? You want all the old guys back. But you know what? They gave me great feedback, and you know what they say about the customer is always right. And I started teaching about 80 to 100 classes of CPA review per year for this one company. The best part was that students would come up to me at the break and say, hey, I really like the way you teach. Can you tutor me privately? Well, that was around 2009, and I tutored 1 or 2 students per day. By about 2012, I was up to 3 or 4 students per day. Then by 2015, I was tutoring 7, 8 students per day via Skype. And of course, I wasn't needing the CPA review courses anymore. By 2015, I started to have a long waiting list for tutoring. And that's when I made the inevitable choice to start a small CPA review course and have each recorded lecture seem like a one-on-one tutoring session. The road to greatness involves listening to your instincts, that voice inside your head that guides you towards success. I determined that the tutoring sessions are so popular and successful, why not have a CPA review course where each lecture video is just like a one-on-one tutoring session that's already so successful in the style and approach. Today, over 700 CPA candidates are taking the I-75 course. There's 92 LinkedIn recommendations as of the time of this video. Here's the part I'm most proud of right here. It's these 92 LinkedIn recommendations from candidates just like yourself who started out with Becker or Wiley or Roger. They tried Ninja. They thought that would put them over the top. But they realized that they didn't learn enough. They didn't understand the topics. You've got to understand the concepts in order to pass the CPA exam. Memorization won't get you there because there's just too many topics to try and memorize anything. See, when you were in 7th grade and the teacher said we're going to have a test tomorrow on prepositional phrases and there's 31 of them and you've got to memorize them all, well, you could do that. You could come up with a poem, a little story, maybe put it to music, have a little melody, and you can memorize 31 prepositional phrases to take a test. But you can't do that with the CPA exam. I don't care how many acronyms or formulas that they try to give you. You've got to understand the concepts. And that's what we do at the I-75 course. And that's why I have this. 92 LinkedIn recommendations says it all.